All right, so I just started recording. There's just a couple of you on the call right now, and I'm going to go ahead and record this. And for those of you that are interested, I can send you a copy of the recording as when it gets complete. So realistically, this is about getting more done in less time. And what I talked about was I'm going to share is the 11 keys to increasing productivity. And this was created by Brian Tracy. It's one of the models that we have, one of the modules that we have, or a session in a module that we have from the Focal Point organization. So Brian's the chairman and the CEO of Brian Tracy International, and specializing in training and development of individuals and organizations. And his goal, along with mine, is to help you achieve your personal business goals faster and easier than you've ever imagined. So when we give information out like this, it's a way to ideally make it so that you're able to accomplish more and faster. And so Brian's consulted with thousands of companies and probably addressed more than 5 million people and 5,000 talks all around the world. In fact, he's doing a lot of work in Europe these days. He's really been active for 30 years. I first encountered Brian back in my 20s when I got promoted up to management. He was one of the first resources that and I've always kind of been a do-it-yourself learner. He was one of the first resources that I ever really reached out to and bought some books, The Psychology of Achievement, The Psychology of Success. Those are both really strong influences on my career growth and my behavior. So Focal Point International is an alliance with Brian Tracy, and it really takes Brian's teachings and his training, and they put it into a system and a model that coaches can use, me, for example. And there are 200 coaches around the world. We're on 6 continents. We're all over the place. And the difference is really just the individual coaches, my background compared to somebody else's background in coaching. So we've got this material that Brian Tracy has provided, and then you have my background, and you compare those two, you get kind of a unique coach. Now, me personally, I work with successful small business owners every day. That's my job, is to help them get to improve their business. And they all want to know if their business is really going to work for them. At the end of the day, that's kind of the key. Well, can I make this business work? Will it satisfy my life? Will it satisfy my life goals? And it's not just about today, it's about tomorrow and over the long haul, because most business owners, small business owners, the ones that I work with anyways, they don't have a problem working hard. They just want to know that they're working right and that they're going to be effective. And that's kind of what we're talking about today, which is productivity tools. And so in the back of everybody's mind is sort of this worry and doubt thing about whether this is really the right thing. Is this the right thing I should spend my time on? Is this the right thing I should invest my money on? Is this the right place to put my efforts and my energy? And again, like I say, if you're a small business owner, you know that there's no extra time. You're not sitting on the couch watching daytime television. This isn't the case. You're out working. You're trying to figure out, how do I get another 10 minutes to get one more thing done? But at the same time, there's this doubt and worry thing that comes along, and that's really a key that I'm going to try, and through these webinars and teachings and coaching, really try to reduce the doubt and the uncertainty and the frustration, and lead to more confidence and more certainty in what we're trying to get accomplished. And California has its own thing, and like I say, coaches are on 6 continents. Business in California has its own uniqueness, I guess is the way I should put it. And so not only do we have to worry about our own doubts and worries, we might have some worries from our spouse, we might have some concerns. We might just have people that say, I told you so, right? It's not, I can't believe that you decided to start a business in California. And I know when I first started this practice back in 2010, there were a lot of people, and it was in the middle of the Great Recession, so I won't tell you that it was a great time to start my practice, but I had a lot of people say that, man, you're really brave, you're really good, and then, the thing about being a business owner is that you have some responsibilities, and you have some bills, and you have some payroll, and keeping a roof over your head is one thing, but affecting the lives of employees and coworkers, that's entirely another. So failing, if you have employees and coworkers, the failure is, the cost of failure is really, really high. And when we take a look at things like uncertainty and stress and frustration and anxiety, these are legitimate feelings that business owners experience every day. They have a tendency to stop business owners or stop people from pursuing their dreams. You know, they get to a certain point and they say, I can't take a risk, I can't do this. And it really forces them to settle for a lot less than they had planned on or dreamed on when they started their particular practice. It's just like a business, like a brick wall. But there is a way to get through this. There's a process to get through this. I have a 3-webinar workshop called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do, and it's company-free, and it's a process that I teach for helping people figure out what to work on. And today we're going to be talking about this 11 keys to productivity, and this is one of those. So productivity is a key component of your success. This might be one of the things that you come up with through the workshop on what to do when you don't know what to do. This might be one of the things you come up with, say, I need to figure out how to get more productive, because becoming more productive would be a lot more effective for you. So my background is corporate manufacturing, real estate, technology. I worked for 27 years to create products and services and solve problems and manage large teams of employees, really for multi-billion-dollar companies. My clients were Bank of America, Royal Bank of Canada, C.B. Richard Ellis. 7 years ago, a little more than 7 years ago, it was December of 2010, I opened my own practice because I really wanted to make a difference to more people. As a corporate employee, I had a lot of freedom. I got to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do, but I really wasn't able to make the impact on individual lives that I really thought was important and valuable. And so I started this focal point practice in December of 2010, and I literally worked with hundreds of different clients. And the reason I work with hundreds of different clients is because we get things done really, really fast. It's not like coaching has to take years and years. It's not the way it works. It's supposed to happen fast. So I worked with one of my first clients, and in 10 months, he saw his revenue grow by 372%. Because he followed the process that we talked about, right? And I don't really make this as a brag. That's not what I'm trying to do. I simply want you to have confidence in what it is that I'm sharing. So when I'm not working to help others achieve business success, I play chess, and I'm a golfer, and I often use chess and golfing analogies to help illustrate key points and concepts. So, today we're really focusing in on productivity, and it's the second key in what we call the stack, the compounding stack. The first piece being clarity, the second piece being efficiency. And when we have those two pieces in place, we can go do things like expand our marketing. Today marketing is amazing. You can market on the internet for really, really inexpensively, and you can reach literally the world. It's amazing. When we talk about sales, how do we convert people that are interested, and then ultimately leadership, how do we lead our team more effectively? All right, so we're going to talk now about getting more done in less time, and it's a clear vision. That's where that clarity component comes by, right? With specific plans, and when you have that in place, that thing called confidence comes along. So clarity equals confidence in many, many ways. And I think with confidence, then you kind of got the personal power. You think that's what we call claiming your power, right? When you're confident and you have clarity, then you can claim your power and proceed to whatever your goals and objectives are. All right, so see if I can't move the advanced slide here. All right, so when we talk about time management mastery, you've got 11 keys to success. It really talks about developing new habits, learning new skills, and that's how you're going to achieve more, better results in less time. And then I'm going to give you these 11 keys. And the reality is that the difference between successful and unsuccessful people is often their level of productivity. And they both have 24 hours in a day. Nobody has more, nobody has less. But some people are more effective. Some people get more done because they're working on the right thing, or they get more of the right thing done in their 24 hours than somebody else does. So if you're going to, if you're determined to achieve all of your personal and professional goals, then you have to continually improve your process. And it's not one giant revolutionary change. It's usually small, compounding, continuous improvement processes that can make a huge difference. All right, so first step, right, to increasing, there's 11 keys that we're going to talk about today. The first step to increasing those productivity is to have clear and written goals.
Able to CompuLogic? Yes, please.
And I'm getting a lot of feedback, so I'm going to mute the participants here.
Sure, what kind I have.
All right, so clear and written goals. That is the first step. Starting a point of higher productivity is with clear goals. And so what I'm going to do here is I want you to take pencil or a piece of paper, because as a webinar, as a workshop, if you want to get the most out of it, then if you have a piece of paper and a pencil and you can spend a little time with it, then you can capture a greater value in this particular webinar. So one of the questions I always ask here is, what are your 10 most important goals? 10 most important goals. Now, 10 business goals could be a lot. In fact, when I was in corporate, it was always, let's have 3 to 5 business goals. But I want to add in some other areas where goals are really, really important. And we use a diamond map of 4 different areas. And so one has to do with, career, business and success and career. That's one. Another one is health and fitness. A third one is relationships. And a fourth one could be financial independence. And then a fifth leg, for many people, is spirituality. And so what you want to do is take a minute and just write down your 10 most important goals. And if you don't have time to write all 10 of those down right now, and just make a note that you want to capture 10 most important goals, 10 goals, right? Make that list of 10 goals, really, really important. And the story goes out there, Harvard Business Review did a study that, 97% or 90% of the population didn't have goals, and 7% of the population did have goals, but only 3% of them wrote them down. And the difference in success was almost tenfold in 5 years. So take your 10 goals and write them down. Ideally, you will have them in front of you every single day. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm trying to get accomplished, because you're going to have to make decisions every day about how to spend your time. Decisions made in pursuit of those 10 goals, decisions made in alignment with those 10 goals are going to move you closer to those 10 goals. Decisions made that are not in alignment are literally moving you 180 degrees away from those goals. So having your goals up front and foremost is really, really important. And we use this 10 goal method to do that. So 10 goals, and you can there's 4 or 5 categories that are really important here. Now, once you've listed those 10 goals, and that's another thing I want you to take a note on, is take a look at those 10 goals and say, what one goal, if you accomplish it, would make all the others easier to accomplish? Right? What one goal, if you accomplished it, would make all the others easier to accomplish? Now that becomes your major definite purpose. That's the one where you put all of your, or most of your, not all, because all is impossible, perfection's not possible. That's the one where you put the majority of your energy is into that goal. Because when that goal gets done, when that goal is accomplished, then all of the other goals become a lot easier. And so that one goal, whatever that is, that becomes your major definite purpose. All right, so clear written goals, 2 keys, 10 of them, and then identify your major definite purpose. All right, see if I can't figure out how to change the slide. There we go. All right, so the first key is clear written goals. The second key is clear written plans of action. So the study, and I've done lots of this work, these studies, but basically it's saying every minute in planning will save you as much as 10 minutes in execution. Every minute in planning, 10 minutes in execution. So spending a little bit of time in planning what you're going to do to accomplish that goal, and what days you're going to work on it, and how you're going to do that, that is all going to allow you, when the day comes, to make decisions on your time a lot faster and a lot more effectively, so that you can get that major definite purpose accomplished and make all the other goals easier to accomplish. Now what you do is you make a list, you make this plan, right? Clear written plans of action. And you may not know all of it. You check the likelihood, if it's a big project or if it's a big task, you may not know all of it. You have to know, you need to know what the next step is. What's the next 2 or 3 steps, right? And you'll figure out the 4th step and the 5th step and the 6th step along the way. But you have to have a plan so that you can execute your time on a daily basis really very effectively. All right, so now when you take a look at this list, if you've got this in front of you, then there are studies that show that this could save you, 25% or more of your time as soon as you start doing it. Now, if you've been doing it for a long time, it's not going to save you 25% more. But if you've never done anything like this, then the time savings on your most effective stuff, and this is where clarity comes into play. Clarity, your goals, what do you work on, staying focused, you really can make a huge difference in the time that you have and the efforts from the time that you put into things. All right, so step number 3, set priorities, right? So an important task or activity has significant consequences. That's the difference, right? Importance has to have a higher priority. Lesser importance has a lower priority. An unimportant task has few or no consequences at all. So now that you've taken your task list, right, to identify what's most important for your major definite purpose, now you can prioritize it and say, what happens first? What happens second? What's the third thing? Right? And we want to focus in on those high priority items and not get distracted by those unimportant tasks. And one of those things you have to watch out for here is this thing called urgency. Because urgency has a tendency to disguise itself as important. But when you really look at it, a lot of times it's not that important. Like when that phone call comes, it's not that important to answer every call. Now, it might be important to figure out which phone calls are most important in our system or emails, which ones are most important. But the reality is most of those don't have a great deal of importance. And all they do is steal your time away from those important things. So in setting your priorities, one of the keys that you really have to work on is focusing in on the most important thing and not getting distracted by urgency. I tell the story that if I'm working and I'm in my office and the door's closed, don't come in. Don't come in the door. But if my kid gets hurt, you can just break the door down. It's okay. But there's just not that many things out there that are that big or that important. And so you want to make sure that you set your priorities effectively. All right, so once you've identified what those priorities are, then you really want to concentrate and focus 100% on the number one task for your major definite purpose, as much as you possibly can, right? Because if that major definite purpose is accomplished, then all the other goals get accomplished easier. And if you focus 100% on the number one, that most important task, it'll get done faster, and then you can move on to the second most task. Now, you can actually reduce the amount of time you spend on a major task by as much as 80%. I do a little test, and I won't do it today, but I can tell you that focus is typically worth about a 40% bump on just about anything. But if you can focus single-mindedly on your most important task for your major definite purpose, you can knock out huge amounts of time in actually trying to get that thing accomplished. In this case, Brian Tracy talks about as much as 80%. By refusing to do anything else until that task is complete, right? Just get through it and get it done. And that's the focus that we're really talking about. Is it reality that you can focus, 100% on that one task? For periods of time, you can. Sometimes you can't do it for lengths of time. I mean, to try to do it for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 days in a row, probably not very realistic. But to spend an hour or 2 hours or even 3 hours and just grinding through it so that you knock it off, that's your fastest way to get things done. All right, so the fifth key, right? The fifth key is to balance longer hours with time off. This is remarkably effective in the sense that you don't actually work more hours in a week. What you do is you work 10-hour days, 4 10s instead of 5 8s, because there is what they call ramp-up time or startup time, and it always takes time to get started. It always takes time to close up. And if you're going to do it, if you only have 8 of those, like so you have 4 days and you're doing it twice a day, start up and end, you only have 8 of those periods instead of 10. So balance longer hours with time off. It basically start a little earlier, work through lunchtime, stay a little later, and then you take time off to restore your energy. So it's not about just working more hours. It's about being more effective with the hours that you work. So balance longer hours with time off. All right, so the sixth key, work harder at what you do. So when you work all the time that you work. Don't waste any time. That means if you're working, don't go playing around on Facebook unless Facebook advertising is something that is part of your work. If you're working, don't be checking your phone and don't be texting and don't do all those other kinds of things. Just every one of those little distractions delays your ability to get this number one task focused. So work hard and work at it. Now, and just stay focused for an hour and say no to all of those interruptions for an hour and then deal with the interruption. Right? But when you work hard. work all the time that you work. If you're going to go to work for 8 hours, if you're only going to work for 4 hours, work hard for those 4 hours. Don't just play around, don't waste time, because you're really not going to get as much done. Now, if you're a business owner and you have big goals and you have big dreams and you have financial freedom and time freedom in your future, this is the investment that you're making. You're going to work really hard today so that you can get there tomorrow. Now, if you're just an employee, you see this all the time where they're like, well, you know, I really don't want to work that hard. Well, they don't have the goal, they don't have the end result or the rewards that you do. But as a business owner, if you're running your own practice, you're an executive, work harder at what you do. All right, so the seventh key is to work faster. Work faster. So developing a sense of urgency. And so, you know, this is hard. For a lot of people, this is really, really hard. They have a system and a model and a process that they go through for getting their work done. But that doesn't mean that it has any urgency associated with it. And learning how to do things as quickly as possible. Now, it's not a haste makes waste model, right? So it's not urgency to the extent that I make a bunch of mistakes. Because if we're in a big hurry because we've got a deadline or something, unfortunately, the opportunity to make mistakes shows up a lot. But the urgency is, let's see if we can't get this thing done as quickly as possible. So set a target, set a date. Let's say how much I can get done in 10 minutes, how much I can get done in 30 minutes. Let's see if I can get this thing done in an hour, right? But developing a sense of urgency. And for employees, this is a real key, is we have to set them with challenges to get things done faster so that they understand what urgency means. All right, the eighth key, work smarter. Now, you've all heard this, right? Work smarter, not harder. It's not the number of hours, but the quality of the work. And the more time you spend on higher value tasks, and this is going back to our priorities list, this is why we have 10 goals. This is why we have a major definite purpose. This is why we have consequences associated with each one of the tasks that are designed. So we want to focus in on the higher value tasks. The greater results you put into higher value tasks, the better result you're going to have for every hour that you put in. And this is a key where learning is so important, is that you've got to go and learn all of the components, the new skills, the new ideas. Today, the internet marketing is a big deal. This is a continuous learning process, because if you're just doing it the way you did it 10 years ago or 5 years ago, chances are you're not as effective and not as productive as you could be. All right, now this one I think is really, really important. Match your work with your skills. Now, when you know what you're good at and you've got tasks that are aligned around what you're good at, you're going to be a lot more effective. You're going to get a lot more accomplished in less time. So when you work on tasks and you're especially skilled and experienced, you can accomplish a lot more than an inexperienced person. But what I see happening here all the time is I see people that are really talented in certain areas. They're over here working on their bookkeeping, or they're over here doing janitorial work because they didn't want to spend a couple of dollars to pay somebody else to do that. But the reality is that if you're working on your highest value tasks, they're going to be worth a heck of a lot more than what you pay to do your bookkeeping, or what you pay to do your janitorial service, or what you pay to do some of these other lower value tasks. If you're making your hourly rate that you want at the high value, you can certainly afford the low value. So matching your work with your skills, and if you don't know what those are, and I'm certain most of you know what those skills are, but if you don't, then there's some other things that we can do here. There's some assessments and stuff that will help identify that. One of the things I do with young adults and young employees or young executives is we run them through the assessment so we can identify what skills they're really good at and point them in that particular direction. Okay, number 10, bunch your tasks. So this is doing several similar activities all at the same time. So, I mean, think about this, right? You want exercise, and so you can be on the treadmill. But if you're on the treadmill, you could also be listening to a podcast, because it doesn't affect your running on the treadmill. So you're able to bunch different tasks to do them more effectively. If you're going to pay invoices, if you're going to pay the bills, if you're going to process checks, process them all at one time. Don't do one now and another one in an hour and another one tomorrow. Right? We want to bunch those tasks. That's where efficiency is. So you get to crank them out. You also get, really good at those repetitive things, and that's where urgency can really knock some difference out of it. You can make sure it happens a lot faster. So you're really looking to bunch your tasks. All right, and then the 11th key is to eliminate steps. Now, the big deal from going from a solopreneur to, or from a small business into a bigger business, right? Small business being 3, 4, 5 employees into a business that has 15, 20, 25. The big difference there is systems and process. Systems and processes so that your team can deliver the results that you're looking for them to deliver. Now, with a system and a process, a lot of times there's different steps that you might go through. And what we want to do is we want to take a look at those steps and make sure every so often that they are really important and really valid. There may be something in the technology space where we could eliminate 3 or 4 of those steps, and that would make that a huge difference in our ability to get that thing done, to be able to overcome that particular activity a lot faster. So that is the 11th step. So in order, we'll go through these steps again real quick, right? Number 1, clear written goals. Written goals, ideally, they're in front of you every day. We talked about identifying the 10 most important goals. And out of those 10, which one, if accomplished, would make accomplishing all the others a lot easier or a lot more effective or a lot faster? Right? So we've got our goals, we identify our major goal out of that, and we write clear written plans of actions. How do we get this thing accomplished? And we want to list the actions associated with that major definite purpose first. And when you're first making the list, it could be any list. You know, I got to do A, I got to do C. You know, we don't have to prioritize because the third step in this is to prioritize that list and make sure that we're focusing in on the most important stuff. Then we talk about concentrating single-mindedly. Now, this thing is worth 40 to 80% in being able to get your activity done as fast as possible. We're talking about balancing longer hours with time off. And again, you think about that ramp up and a ramp down period. If you work, you know, again, make sure that you eat, make sure that you're healthy, make sure that you have plenty to drink. But if you work right through it, you're going to be a lot more effective and you're going to get a lot more done in less time because you don't have the same ramp up and ramp down periods. Work hard at what you do. Work hard. When you decide to work hard. And then work faster. Develop a sense of urgency. Work smarter. Continuously work on your skills and your competence levels so that you can be more effective and more efficient. And when you think about that, there's a couple of questions I think that are really important here. So what one skill, and this is a good one for you to answer, right? What one skill, if you were to develop it today, would contribute the most to achieving success? What one skill, if you were to develop it today, would contribute the most to achieving your success? Now, a lot of times the development of this skill is one of the tasks that's key to accomplishing your major definite purpose. And so one of the things that we hear about all the time, you know, maybe the most important and most valuable skill in business is the ability to influence, right? The ability to manage your team, the ability to manage yourself, the ability to manage this time, space, and people around you effectively to accomplish your goals. So if you got better at influence, what would that mean? Influence being potentially sales, maybe marketing, and definitely certainly leadership. All right, and then if you identify what that one skill is, what steps would you take to develop that critical skill? And then another one is what habits and behaviors will you develop to increase your productivity? Because those are the areas of growth for you to be able to accomplish your major definite purpose a little bit faster. All right. Okay, so we got to key 7 was work faster. Key 8 is work smarter. Key 9, match your work with your skills. Focus in on what you do best. Key 10 is to bunch your tasks. And key 11 is to eliminate steps. Reduce the process. Simplify the process. So there you have the 11 steps to increasing your productivity. There is a time management mastery course. If this is something you have an interest in, please let me know. This is a half-day workshop. It's about developing a mindset of special personal performance, getting a clear understanding of your key result areas, setting goals, planning and prioritizing, organizing your space, and ultimately feeling better and more confident about yourself and your performance. So this is a half-day workshop that I have available. If that's something of interest to you, please reach out and let me know that you'd be interested in talking about this. I also have the new Make the Right Moves Business Coaching Forum, which is really a 1-hour mastermind that we work together with every Tuesday morning. Actually, it's where I was at before this meeting here, and it's an opportunity to just come in, And I put all my videos and all of my courses in there. It's much more of a do-it-yourself type thing. I put all those courses in there, and you can then ask questions of the coach, but you can also get arrangement. You can also have conversations. It's a closed Facebook group. So you can also have conversations with your peers so that we can work together to help you solve your challenges and your problems and accomplish your goals a heck of a lot faster. All right, so with that, I want to say thank you for listening and paying attention to me here. The 11 keys to productivity are available. I'm recording this, and so when I stop this, it'll capture that recording. I'm going to take everybody off on mute right now and say, hey, do we have any questions? All right, so I just unmuted all. All right, so it looks like I've got George, Patty, Sarah, a telephone number that I don't know, and David Weiss. Guys, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Would you mind providing me a little bit of feedback on the presentation?
It was short and to the point. You know, it was in the theme of time management. It didn't take forever. This is George talking. It reminds me of a favorite book I have on my bookshelf, which I got to pull out more often. It's called The One Thing.
Yeah.
You know, do that, and you'll be, what's the right word? Geometrically better at that. The only challenge I've had with all these is, and I've struggled with this over the years, is how do you? And I know it sounds real simple, and it might to everybody on the call, but what do people do to keep their goals in front of them every day, wherever they go? What I mean, do people keep it on a piece of paper and it gets lost in the shuffle? Is it buried in their cell phone somewhere, or is it, I don't know, tattooed on their forehead? Do they write it on the refrigerator? Do they? What kind of mechanical things have you seen people do to make sure that they keep their goals in front of them? Because that's a challenge like that.
Great question. And I would say the answer is yes to all of those except for the tattoo on the forehead. So a list. You know, I have a list. I have a journal that I work with, and I write down my 10 goals every morning.
Oh.
And when I write them down, it just brings clarity to my focus for the day. But I also realize that some days I miss that. And so there's a reminder in my phone. It's on my calendar. It says, check your goal. And so I actually have a calendar invite. So 6 a.m. on my calendar says, let me just get to it so I can tell you exactly what it says. It says, pray and love and goals. And so really that's kind of my starter in the morning. And so my goals could be listed in the comments section of that schedule item. So it's always there. Now my phone is with me all the time. And so I always have access to those goals. Now, I'll tell you that printing them out and setting it on putting a little reminder on your desk, putting a reminder on your refrigerator, those are all things that help as well. So I hope that answers your question.
Yep. Okay.
Really important stuff. All right. Anybody else? Any other comments? Really appreciate the feedback.
This is David Weiss, and hi, John. This is my first mastermind, so thank you very much. I'm impressed. I learned a lot, and like George said, it was succinct. It was, you know, I hate going to meetings where I'm going to meetings to listen to everybody tell what they want to say. This was right to the point. I learned, you know, it's a lot of stuff that I think I knew, I should know, but just getting it back over and over again to say, okay, you're right. I got to start doing this. And very impressed. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your comment. You know, the words sharpen the saw were coined by Stephen Covey, and he wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Right.
And it really is just, you know, sometimes it's a refresher. Sometimes this is not rocket science, thank God. It's not rocket.
But it's so much common sense, and we lose our common sense. That's a problem. So
we lose our focus. You know what it is? It's distraction, right? The world, they say, I read a study, that we are making, the average person makes 3,000 decisions every single day.
Wow.
It's where to put your time, where to put your eyeballs, So the ability to make decisions that don't focus in on your goals is just super high.
Yeah.
And it's not going away anytime soon, right? We decided to carry these smartphones with us so that we could have to make more decisions about what to watch and what to listen and to get to Facebook. And we decided to put more alerts on stuff so that we could get more distracted.
Right.
But yeah. So now the idea, I know that today, and I don't know, Sarah, I think you said you might have had a friend, but the idea of having something like this and inviting a guest to an event like this, I probably have 50 different presentations like this. Does the idea of inviting a potential OC Pro member, right? Somebody that, hey, look, when you join us, you get this stuff,
Right.
Or just a guest, somebody that you know, because to me, when I meet somebody online or I meet somebody in person, that still counts as a referral. It's an introduction. It's an opportunity for me to talk and share about what I do with somebody else.
Yes. Okay, good. That's easy for us, right? Should be.
Well,
Right.
I want it to be easy.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
this is Patty speaking. To let the other group, the rest of the people online know, I did that with my client base last year, as kind of advertised it as a free webinar using a business coach and with the subject matter I chose, and it was really great. It was awesome. So, like you said, he's got a variety of different subject matters, but I just chose something that my team and I had used too here, was about different communication skills and how to communicate better, work as a team better, how to figure out which you are through the DISC evaluation, DISC evaluation.
Uh-huh.
And it was really valuable. So that was one way that I've used John's services and put it out there for my client base to let them know, hey, this is something I'm offering as a value add to them.
And where did you put that, Patty? On Facebook or Instagram? How did you advertise it?
All of the above. John showed me how to use Eventbrite, and he had a whole process that he walked me through of how to advertise it, how to, kind of a countdown up to the event of what I needed to do.
Okay.
So I learned a lot through it because I had not done anything. So I'd be more successful and do it even better next time. But I got a few clients, and my team, we all listened to it. It was the people that were there thought it was great. So
nice.
So this is what we call one-to-many marketing, and so you have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and you get to have this conversation. I can tell you we can go through 10 or 15 people where we can have this live conversation like we're having today. A lot of times when it gets over 15 or 20 or something bigger than that, there's just everybody steps on everybody, and so it doesn't really help to communicate. So this 10 to 15, 20 people is a really nice little target market where we can help people and we can share some things and we can get to know each other. And literally, just all we're doing is turning some wheels, right? Turning some wheels, making you think a little bit and getting you to be a little bit more effective, maybe a little bit more productive in your day.
Yeah.
So am I hearing then that, this format, we got 7 people here today, which is better than I've had at any mastermind so far.
Good.
And so, if I put together, well, maybe we don't have 7. I have 7 people that registered. I've got 5 or 6 people on the call. If what I can do is I don't have a problem doing this, and we can just say, hey, lunch and learn. I think this time is okay, right? You guys can eat at the same time as you're listening.
Yeah, it's actually a good time.
It is. It's a great time. And I think that the reason you got a lot of people, John, is that you made the topic specific instead of just open-ended mastermind.
Ditto.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so what I could do is I could just, and you know what, when I've asked people for what do they want, I get crickets. So I'm just going to say, this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
Good idea.
But I have a pretty good flavor of what people need, just because I'm working with people all the time. I know where they're going, what fits. Efficiency and productivity, time, that fits everybody. I don't care how good you are or how talented you are. You can always get better and become more effective and more efficient. So time is one of those, but so I could say, hey, listen, this is the 20th of February. We could go to the 20th of March, and I can actually start to promote that. I think I can do that fairly soon. What I would want to do is, I can create a little Facebook post that you can share with everybody. I can create, an email and a link like what you joined today that you can send out to others. And so not only, like I said, I just thought this was a way that we could meet some new people as well as learn something.
Yeah, I like it.
I do too.
All right. So good. Then I'm going to go ahead and continue this. And like I say, this recording, I haven't figured out where to put it, but this will be recorded, or this is being recorded. And I'll put it on Dropbox or something and let you guys know where it is in case you want to listen to it, or in case you want to share it with somebody else. That's okay. The information that I share, often, if you looked on the internet, you would find it. But this, it's easier because you can get it all in one place from me and what I do.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll identify what the next one is for. And I just, off the top of my head, just say March 20th, 30 days from now, and then see if we can't do a good job of recruiting some other folks and getting some more people. And then you guys just share with the other folks in the other folks in the club that they missed out.
Will do, definitely.
Great. So there's like 10 minutes left here, and we can knock off now if that's what you'd like to do. As a business coach, I answer questions about all kinds of things. I think I mentioned that we've got this new $200 per month Mastermind Group. And this is a weekly, every Tuesday, we have an hour, and then all of my videos, and this recording will go in there. And it's much more of a do-it-yourself type program, but it's all about, helping more people get where they want to go faster. Because at that, when I work in a one-to-many model, then I can work and help a lot more people, a lot more effectively.
Yeah.
And you'll hear more about that as time goes by. That's kind of where we're at on that right now. So does anybody have any questions about, anything in their business?
John, this is Sarah. I just really appreciate your time and energy putting this together. And I think one thing that I struggle with is just sticking to my goals. So this has kind of helped remind me just to get back to the basics.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's the basics, right? But we got to remember to do it. Remember, it's the old Vince Lombardi, right? Let's go back to the basics. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a football.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I was definitely convicted about just focusing on one thing and getting the task done. Where I know you've done that exercise in our network group before about multitasking, how it doesn't work, but I seem to always try to do it, and so I was very much convicted by your through the course of the slides and your script about that.
Well, it's your, and every now and then, because you get distracted, right? And then I know, I like to kind of like pick my head up and go, wait, no, stop, focus over here, because there's no such thing as perfection. It's just about trying to get a little bit better and recognize that I want to focus a little bit more. And so you just got to hear it every now and then. Some people will put a focus sign right up on their desk or on their computer, focus, whatever it is. Use all the tricks that you can come up with to help you get there, because it's just so easy to get distracted.
That's for sure. Well, I just want to thank you again, and I'm going to rush off, but I'm impressed. I love it. Can't wait to talk about it on Thursday.
Well, good. Please share. Yeah, tell people about it. I'll make the recording. And unless somebody else has something else to talk about, I'm open. But if you're done, we'll call it done for now. And we'll see you Thursday morning.
Signing off.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Thank you.
great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.